Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Amy and I can see I've got glitter on my face from my last video, but I wanted to do probably a relatively short video talking about my experience with Mounjaro, the diabetes slash weight loss drug, and how that has impacted my life. Some of you have asked me to share that kind of information. Had I been more on top of it, I should have been sharing it as I went through the process, because my Mounjaro journey started almost exactly at the same time that this channel started. So it would have been the perfect opportunity to have kind of walked through that week by week with you guys, but I wasn't that bright. And so here we are 2 years, almost exactly 2 years later, but maybe I've got a little bit more wisdom now, probably not, but I wanted to share my experience with you guys. And I know some of you are on similar journeys. We've talked in emails and whatnot. And I don't know that I am a good resource for people that are going through this journey, but I do have 2 years worth of experience now on it. So I am kind of calling this the good, the bad, the ugly of Mounjaro. I cannot speak to any other similar semaglutide drugs. I think Mounjaro is a semaglutide. I don't know. See, you shouldn't even take that from me. But I can't speak to Ozempic. I can't speak to any of those other drugs that are out there because I have only used Mounjaro. And I say Mounjaro, but I think it's technically Mounjaro. But for some reason, moon sounds better to me. Are there any other words that M-O-U-N is moon? Probably not. But anyway, let's get started. So let's work from ugly to bad to good so that we end on a high note, because ultimately I am very glad that I went through this process. I do not regret it at all. So, but let's start with some of the ugly things. And I made myself notes so that I could talk. I should have made like cue cards. But the biggest ugly for Mounjaro for me was the digestive issues. So we can get a little real on this channel, right? And there is so I guess I should back up. Why did I go on Mounjaro? Well, when I started out, was 250 pounds and I was diabetic, type 2 diabetes. So I was done having children, but I had gestational diabetes with all of my pregnancies. And I had a great grandfather that had diabetes, but I didn't have anybody more recent or closer to me relationally that had diabetes. So am I genetically predisposed to diabetes? Maybe, but you're more susceptible to diabetes, to full-on type 2 diabetes, if you have gestational diabetes. And you're also more susceptible to type 2 diabetes if you have a heavier weight. And so those two things combined, being that I had gestational and I was 250 pounds, morbidly obese, made me a prime candidate for type 2 diabetes. And sure enough, I hit that. I am not the kind of person that does well with dieting. And dieting is one way that you can treat diabetes. And those of you that have been in a weight loss struggle before know what that's like. It takes a very dedicated person to be successful at dieting, in my opinion. There's plenty of people, and obviously it's smart to pair diet and exercise together, and I was not exercising. I was 250 pounds. It was very hard to move. I didn't have any energy. I didn't, or desire to be honest. I mean, that's one thing that when you're heavier, you lose a lot of motivation. So diet and exercise really was not a great option for me. I did get put on metformin for a while, but that, studies have come out now that show that metformin can be kind of dangerous to your health in terms of neuropathy. It can cause neuropathy, and neuropathy is bad combination with diabetes because people with diabetes have to be so careful with their feet, and neuropathy kind of robs you of the ability to feel when things are happening to your feet that are bad. So, and I'm also not a very good pill taker. You guys, I struggle to swallow pills, and so that just wasn't a good option for me. I did during pregnancies actually do insulin injections, but I'm very sensitive to insulin, and that can be a dangerous path too if you're having to inject insulin. Obviously, people with type 1 diabetes do have to do that in order to survive, but I don't know. I'm lazy. I mean, let's just say it. Some people are like, oh, well, if your life depended on it, wouldn't you change? Well, my life proved that no, I wouldn't change my lifestyle. I just wouldn't. And I don't have a good explanation for that, except that's just my experience, I guess. So, so my doctor decided to she decided to put me on Ozempic because that's what was popular, but it was always out of stock. And so she decided to try Mounjaro for me because a lot of people will lose twice as much weight with Mounjaro as they will with Ozempic. And I was a prime candidate for that because of my weight. So that's where we started. And I don't know if every doctor does this, but the way she did it, these are vials, so they are injectables, 1 injectable per week, and you get a box of 4. So you get a month's supply when you get your prescription filled. And the way she did it with me is she started me on the lowest dose, and we did that for a month to see how I responded. And as long as I wasn't having significant side effects, then she would move me up to the next dosage the next month. And there were a couple dosages that I was on for multiple months, but then when I would stop losing weight, then she would bump it up to the next dosage because I was still in a non-healthy weight range. And I can't recall what they'll say on the commercials on TV, oh, well, participants have lost up to 20 pounds or something like that or whatever. Well, losing 20 pounds when you're 250 you're still not in a good place. And I'm not showing any pictures, transformative pictures in this video because it's all in YouTube already on my channel. You could go back to my very first video and see what I look like, and even if you just looked at the thumbnails and see how it's progressed over time to where I'm at today. I'm not as big of a fan of showing kind of the before and after pictures, because that's kind of, I don't know, that's just hard to do because I don't like looking at pictures of myself back from then. I didn't like being in pictures back then. I just didn't like it. So I don't choose to look at that really, but you can, as evidenced on my channel, because my whole progression is on there. But so anyway, so that's how I came to be on Mounjaro. Now, right before this, well, not right before this, I had been in 2021. So I started Mounjaro in 2023, but so 2 years before I had COVID, and it was significant enough that I was in the hospital for 17 days. the majority of that in the ICU. I was this close from getting put on a ventilator, which I think would have meant the end in my case. But things happened, and that fortunately didn't happen for me, and I survived. I did have long COVID, so there was gunk in my lungs for quite a significant period after that. My sense of smell, my sense of taste were gone for just about a full year. And so, but why am I bringing that up? Well, because when you are in a health situation like that and you're morbidly obese, they now look at comorbidities, extra factors that kind of help determine if you're going to be able to survive these things. And I, of course, had comorbidities because of my weight and the effect on my lungs. And, it's just harder for people that are overweight to heal. And so that was another reason why, I've got 4 kids, I've got a husband. I don't want to be leaving this world earlier than I need to. And I'm an only child, so I'm the only kid that my parents have. And so that was another part of the reason why I went on this Mounjaro journey. So back to the good, the bad, the ugly. So digestive issues were the worst part of this. As the drug is working in your system, it's helping to release fats and stuff from your body. This is about as technical as I can get, but it's helping to flush things out of your system that don't need to be there anymore. And as part of all of that, it's going to come out, right? And it's not pleasant. There were plenty of times where I was spending significant time in the bathroom. Sometimes the digestion issues meant that I was throwing up. Sometimes it meant that it was diarrhea. Sometimes it was constipation, although the constipation was not as prevalent as the diarrhea. And when I say this, I don't mean for weeks on end. I mean like maybe the day after my shot. So I started planning my shot to be on Fridays. I ended up planning because that gave me the longest amount of time before I had to be in the office again, because I usually work in the office on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so that would give me the most time to have whatever digestive issues I was going to have without having to worry about it being at work. Because also with these digestive issues, sometimes they came on like that. And if you are not in a position where you can get right to the bathroom right away, you could have a problem. And so there were probably a handful of those episodes during the 2 years. So not all the time, not after every shot. It was worse if it was also my time of the month. If I was also on my period at the time of that, then that was worse. So if you are someone who is still on your cycle, it could be worse during that time. But what else isn't? I mean, my face gets all broke out, all that stuff. So, so as a result of that, you kind of do need to do maybe a little bit more planning. And if okay, this is not recommended, but so I am not advocating for this at all. I cannot be held responsible if you do something dumb like this yourself if you're on this drug. But there would be times where I would postpone. You're supposed to take the shot kind of at the same time every week, but there would be times where I would postpone the shot a day or two if I had an event that I didn't want to have a digestive issue during. And so that is not recommended. Don't do that. But I did do that on occasion because I didn't want to find myself in a situation where I was going to have to run to the bathroom in front of people. So, or throw up in front of people. So let's be honest. So yeah, so I did, against doctor's orders, do that in my journey. But really, that's really the only ugly experiences that I had. Now, I did have some bad experiences. or what I would call bad. They're not, terrible, but you do have a loss of appetite, because part of what this drug does is it works in your brain to curb your appetite. So not only is it helping address everything that's in your body, but it's also helping you not crave food as often. It helps you feel full quicker, all of those things. And so for me, I did experience loss of appetite. I think most people do on these drugs. And I was a foodie, obviously. Well, not obviously, but I was 250 pounds. I love to eat. When we would go on vacations, we would kind of plan our vacations around restaurants we wanted to try. Our whole family likes to try new restaurants and stuff, and we have some of our best family experiences doing that. But this drug does create a loss of appetite. So not only do you feel full quicker, sometimes you just don't even want to eat. Like, there's no desire to eat. And so that was kind of a bummer, because I do like to eat. And so it's just something to deal with, right? So some foods that you really enjoyed before, you may not enjoy when you are on this drug. I find that sometimes I would prefer to drink my meals now than eat them, because I don't know, I just crave drinking things more than eating things. It's weird. But I probably haven't had a good steak since I started this. Not that I haven't been given a good steak to eat, but it just didn't taste as good. And I don't know if that's because I like ribeyes, and ribeyes are traditionally a fattier meat, and this drug messes with your relationship with fats. And so I don't know if that's why, but yeah, so there's been loss of appetite, and the things that I do eat don't taste as good for some things. I did pass out one time, literally pass out one time. It can mess with your blood pressure. Now, a lot of people that are overweight are also on blood pressure medication. Blood pressure was not something that I ever had a problem with. That was like the one thing that in all of my, what do they call pregnancy, high risk pregnancies, that I never had a problem with. And Jason has experienced this too. Jason, my husband, is also recently, he's been on Mounjaro now for maybe 3 to 4 months. He has experienced this as well, but he already had some blood pressure issues, but I did not. But I noticed that if I were sitting in a particular chair with my legs crossed, because I did finally get to a point where I could cross my legs, but if I would stand up, I noticed that I would start to have blood pressure issues. And so this is going to be dumb, but I would address that by like moving my legs, bouncing my legs back and forth before I'd go on, because then it would all kind of readjust and I'd be fine. Well, one time I was doing that and it just wasn't sufficient, and I had put my hand up on the edge of a cabinet or something to kind of steady myself, and then all of a sudden Jason's like, "Are you okay? Did you just faint?" And I'm literally on the floor, and not understanding how I'm like coming to awareness, and I'm like, what is going on? And it's because I had fainted. So that only happened once, and after that I was like very careful about when I would stand up. And this is also going to sound weird, but it was only when I'd been sitting in a particular chair. Like, it wasn't my office chair, it wasn't my bed, it wasn't the toilet, it wasn't anything else I would sit on. It was literally my living room chair. So there was something about the way I was sitting in that chair that was sort of affecting my blood pressure, so that when I stood up, it was a problem. So then I became very self-aware of that, and I did not faint again. But that's something that you need to be aware of. And why didn't I put that on the ugly? Well, because it only happened one time. I did not get injured. I didn't get any bruises or anything. It could have been bad if I'd fallen on something, but I didn't. So more bruised pride than anything. And then the other thing that I have on my bad list is the hair loss. So anytime you lose a significant amount of weight in a short period of time, typically you will experience hair loss. And obviously losing a bunch of weight also messes with your hormones. And it also, because your appetite is depressed and you're not eating as much, you have to be really conscious about what you are eating because you need to still get all your vitamins and nutrients. So you might need to supplement with some vitamins, you know, some once a day kind of vitamins, or you may, your doctor may run tests, and like in my case, my iron is really low, which is also making the hair loss thing more extreme. Plus, I'm probably getting close to perimenopause, and so all those things together are kind of working on the hair, the receding hairline. So it's not just the weight loss from the Mounjaro, but that is a big part of it. And my doctor said that, you know, once my weight kind of stabilizes here at the end, that we'll probably start to see some hair regrowth. But we'll see. I don't know. I'm not there yet. But so yeah, the hair loss, I've not been enjoying it. It's, as you can see, it's right in this area, and I'm especially concerned about this area because that's where it seems to be the thinnest, and that will be very difficult to cover. So, but then the rest of the things were good things. So obviously the weight loss, I am down at least 90 pounds. Possibly I've hit 100-pound loss, but I haven't weighed myself recently, but just based on how clothing fits, I think I may be pretty close to that 100-pound weight loss. And that really puts me in a healthy range for my height. So that really is the goal, is to get healthy. Now, does that mean then that my dosage will change? Probably. I'm still at 10 milligrams or milliliters or millisomethings as my, which is the fourth. I started out at like 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, and then 1. I said 10, but I don't know. I don't know. I didn't bring it. I should have brought one of them in. But so I don't know if I will need the same level to maintain, or if the doctor will eventually pull me back down. And if they do pull me back down, will I want to start overeating again? I don't know. So I'm not on that. I haven't experienced that part of this journey yet. But she's not brought my dosage down because I was still at kind of the higher end of healthy for my height. So, but yeah, the weight loss has been great. You see that journey with me on this channel, and as a result, you see me kind of sizing down in all the clothes that I was buying from Temu, and which is kind of a bummer that my relationship with Temu is kind of severed right now, because I need to get some smaller clothes again, and I love the clothes on Temu. So a lot of the clothes that I've bought on Temu that have been great clothes, I've simply shrunk out of. And so there's still good quality clothes. I do plan to probably sell some of those just in case. I mean, not to make money, but just to sell. And because I need to get some new clothes too. But and so with the weight loss, there's been greater mobility. You guys, I can sit on my bed, and I can sit cross-legged if I want to, or I can cross my legs. You guys, there was so many years when I could not cross my legs. And well, I could cross my ankles, but not my legs, you know. And now I almost want to always have my legs crossed. It's weird. And so I've enjoyed that. There's, you know, when I was heavier, let's say we were at a restaurant and you're trying to get to your seat, and it's like, oh man, my stomach or my butt is going to be hitting somebody in the back of the head because they have these tables too close together, and it was just unpleasant. And I think of myself kind of as someone who was trying to shrink out of public view when I was heavy like that. Like, just don't even notice me, please, you know, because it just, self-esteem was terrible, all that stuff. And so in addition to increased mobility, now I also have better self-esteem. I don't mind being in pictures. I look forward to being in pictures, actually. And I'm seeing myself, you know, especially in my face. I can see the person I used to be when I was younger, because I was always slim until I got married. And then that's kind of the beginning of the weight gain kind of thing. But yeah, so I have really enjoyed being able to bend over to tie your shoes without getting out of breath, being able to walk upstairs without getting out of breath. Well, okay, I do still sometimes get out of breath because I didn't really add any exercising in. So, you know, it's not like I'm a stronger person per se, except that I'm now carrying 100 pounds less, kind of thing. But yeah, so, and I think overall, now that I'm in a healthy weight range, my comorbidities should be decreased with that. I don't want to test it. I don't want to get myself another respiratory illness, because those kind of hit me the worst. I don't want to test that, but I think I'd be better equipped to handle those now. So I don't know if this is helpful to any of you that were kind of interested in my journey, but again, I know before and after pictures typically resonate with people, but I'll just let you look through my past thumbnails, and maybe you'll watch a couple of videos if you haven't seen them. But if you are somebody, now I can't really speak to people that just want to lose weight. I know there are, I don't begrudge anybody that uses drugs like this just to lose weight as opposed to having diabetes, because everybody wants to feel good and everybody wants to feel healthy. And if this drug can help you, I think it's probably a good idea. This is not I'm not a doctor. This is not a recommendation. So don't come back and sue me if you try this and fail. But I think it could be an option if you are just wanting to lose weight and get healthy that way. But my experience was diabetes, and I am diabetes free currently. So I don't know if you say you're in remission from diabetes or if you just say you're non-diabetic, but my A1C is now not even in the pre-diabetic range. So that's good. And it did gradually lower over the course of these 2 years. So it was not immediate on the A1C front, but actually Jason's was more immediate because he's not been on it very long, and he has had diabetes way longer than I have, and both of his parents had diabetes, so he's definitely genetically predisposed to that. He is already in the non-diabetes range just from the few months that he's been on it. So his doctor didn't keep increasing him. He got to the second level and then he's, you know, staying there. I was definitely more of a struggle. But so yeah, it's different for everybody. And you just have to be patient. And if it's something that, you know, talk with your doctor and see if it might be a good option for you. Or if you're already on the journey, stick with it if you can. And I think you'll be, I mean, everybody's experience is different. Me losing 100 pounds may not be the norm for people. I don't know. But that's what my experience was. So I hope that for those of you that were kind of curious about this, maybe this is helpful. And yeah, so that's it for this episode. I'm not going to do any of the nostalgic TV trivia or anything since this is kind of a one-off video. But I hope that if my journey can be a help to somebody else, I hope that it is. So wherever you are, whenever you are, I hope you're having a great day. And until we meet again, take care of yourself.